Everyone, let's welcome WWE superstar Xavier Woods, also known as Austin Creed, to Dragon Time!
Oh, hey. Oh, I didn't know we were doing that. I could have worn maybe shouldn't have eaten all that cheese and crackers right before.
But it's good. It's good. Those
protein
crackers.
It's protein, especially when it's the orange cheese that doesn't require refrigeration.
I love a good cheese board too.
Oh yeah.
I love to make cheese boards.
You make cheese boards?
That is my specialty.
I assume they're good, eh?
Look at these flabby underarms and tell me if they're good or not.
I can attest the charcuterie board that Shelly makes does also make my underarms flabby, so we're good to go.
In the best way. Xavier, I am in so much trouble today because I sent my 8-year-old son to camp, and he's a big fan of you, and he really wanted to be here for this interview. And I said, get out of here.
I can at least say that you're raising him right.
Oh, yeah.
He likes me, some good mothering going on.
Yes. We are encouraging the love of wrestling. That is one of the things that he is considering being when he grows up. And he did want me to ask you, how did you become a wrestler?
The short version is every decision that I've ever made in my life has been to attain some sort of skill, because I knew that I was not going to be tall. So I thought if I had a collection of skills that other people did not have, then it would give me a leg up on the competition. And luckily, it has worked. So I wanted to be a triathlete because I figured I needed to be able to do tons of different things. Again, since at that point, it was the land of the giants, and it still kind of is. Guys are like 6'2" and 275, pure muscle, no body fat. And it's like, oh, I'm 5'9" on a good day. I'm an average-sized human. How am I going to get in? So, like I said, I was a triathlete. I was in band. I tried to do well in school because if I can hit all these and become like a quote unquote like a Renaissance man, then that can be my thing. Had a really bad stage fright, so I was in show choir. Wanted to be more agile, so I was a cheerleader in college. And so just all of that stuff, and it's all things that actually very much help me in my everyday job now.
Well,
that's amazing.
You've basically just done our jobs as parents. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's done.
Go do everything.
Just listen to that clip over and over again and just play it for your kids.
That was amazing. That is but you're like a special kind of human because you're saying, I wasn't this, so I decided to do something to make me that. Yeah. Instead of just being like, I'm not agile, so I guess I'll never be a cheerleader. Like the rest.
Well, that's the thing, because my dad and mom they very much instilled into me, don't live a what if life when you're older. You don't want to be in a situation where you've got a midlife crisis and you go, man, I really wanted to be an astronaut. What would have happened if I would have tried?
Right.
Instead of just going down this path that society has already paved for the majority of people. And for some people, that's totally fine to just go that path and that's what you want to do. That's you living the happiest life that you can live. But for me, that path wasn't set. It didn't exist. And so in my head, it was like, I can either go this way, like everybody else, or I can build my own way. Because I got the tools. And if I don't have the tools, I'll find them. Because this is what I want. And at least if I fail in building this road or bridge or whatever this pathway is, I can then live my life. And when I get to my midlife crisis, I don't have to say, what if? I just go, I was not good enough to do this. So I pivoted and did something else that I'm now good at, So I'm very much exhaust all options kind of person before I ask questions or ask for help, which is sometimes a detriment, but I don't know. I want to be good at stuff. And if I'm not good at it, I want to learn to be good at it because learning is fun.
That's awesome. I can't wait. This is very apropos to my daughter is 8. She just joined a baseball team. We had our first game actually playing against Shelly's son's team last night.
And they're very good friends. So
they're good friends.
It was quite enjoyable watching them help each other on the field.
Poor Fiona is very scared. She doesn't want to get hit with the ball. And I kept reiterating exactly what you said. Like, you just don't want to, what if, right? Like, you just got to give it your all. And if you don't end up liking it or you don't end up, exceeding at it, that's fine. Find something else that goes, in your room. But at least you can say, like, I tried. I gave it. I just don't want you to give up before you even have your first game.
That's it. Because my whole thing has been, if I go down swinging somebody else's punches, then I'm not going to be able to look at myself in the mirror. I'm going to flash back on my life when I'm on my deathbed and go, man, I should have done what I wanted to do instead of what society told me I should be doing. And I should have a white picket fence and a dog and, this house in the suburbs. Like, and granted, I do have that because I wanted it.
Right.
Like I just don't want to live with these weird regrets. And so just go after what you want.
It sounds like an adventurer's point of view too, right here. Like a D&D adventurer. You're like, I'm just going to acquire all the skills I need to slay that dragon and give it my all.
Yeah, because when you think about it, when you're building your D&D character and you're rolling for the stats, like, wouldn't you like to just be able to pick where you put your stats and to have way too many stat points? You can do that in real life. Just learn stuff. It's the same exact thing.
Yes. Yeah. Like I would like to just click a box next to acrobatics. I'm like, guess I'm trained in acrobatics now.
It would be awesome. But our clicking a box is going to a gymnastics gym and working for 2 years. And now you got a back handspring into a back tuck and you go, whoa, I couldn't do that 2 years ago. But now my acrobatics went from 10 to 19. And now this is easier for me and I'm happy with it. So I live my life like a D&D character. That's what it is.
That's right.
That's a great way to live your life. This is why you're the purveyor of positivity.
I try.
So when did you, out of all those things that you just talked about doing, right? Like when you were a kid, like show choir and, playing in band and gymnastics, did you play D&D during that time too?
No. So like maybe like once or twice. So like I was big in video games and comics and I knew about D&D. Some of my friends played, but I don't know. I've always been bouncing around to so many different things and I just never had a group of friends that really like connected, I guess like played any regular games. Mm-hmm. So the majority of my friend group played like Magic the Gathering when we were younger. So that got me into card games. And so some people listening will know like Magi Nation was like a big one for a little while. Then there was like a wrestling card game that came out, Dragon Ball Z. And so like I was very into those. So you playing tabletops didn't really happen until regularly, I guess when I graduated college and I got signed with WWE, I had to move to Florida to train. Mm-hmm. And I found a group of people there that all lived in a house together and they would play Shadowrun. Oh, nice. And I was like, what is this? They're like, it's Dungeons and Dragons, but it's X, Y, and Z. And I was like, and so I'd play with them once a week. And that kind of got me into tabletops. And then since then, it's been like sporadic every now and then, but definitely play much more now at this point in my life than I did before. Cause I have a much better understanding of the game and how it kind of like, I know this, not to wax philosophical, but how a lot of things in D&D are very much like straight up metaphors for life and how D&D can be helpful for like problem solving, especially like with young kids. And I have a friend who they play D&D with their kids all the time. And so like their 8-year-old is adding up dice faster than them. So like it's teaching them math and like critical thinking and all of these things that we want to figure out how to teach kids. You just learn by playing Dungeons and Dragons, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they don't know that they're being taught something because it's a game. I love that.
And then you started joining the UpUpDown crew, UpUpDownDown, playing Dungeons and Dragons also pretty regularly. What was that, like about 3 or 4 years ago? 5 years ago when that started?
Yeah, so we tried to UpUpDownDown started, 6 years ago. We just had our 6th birthday. And so Rollout is what we call our D&D games. And so I want to say we started 3 years ago. We'll do like a season a year. So we'll sit down for 2 days straight and just like play through X amount of hours, maybe like 9 or 10 hours, and then cut them up. Wish we could play more regularly. And every once in a while we do like one-offs at like a convention or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's been really fun. So last time we had Freddie Prinze Jr. as our DM, who is he is absolutely fantastic. Like one of the biggest like tabletop nerds I've ever met in my life. He's so cool. And he just makes these incredible stories and he loves all of this fantasy stuff. And you'd never think like, oh my God, this like heartthrob Freddie Prinze Jr. is like a bigger nerd than I am. So it's been really cool being able to like become friends with him and learn about his life and how he sees tabletops and video games and stuff.
That's super cool. Yeah, and then you're putting that game, that crew together to play during D&D Live 2021 in just a few days.
Yes. It's going to be me and some of my wrestler friends, Ember Moon, Brennan Williams, and then FKA, formerly known as Tyler Breeze, coming through. We don't know what to call him right now, but he used to be Tyler Breeze.
Except he's awesome.
He's fantastic.
I'm psyched he's still on this, and you get to play with another amazing dungeon master, Abria Iyengar.
Mm-hmm. One of the best. She's just like, I feel like this has been like her knockout home run summer.
Right.
So
Summer of Abria. There's a hashtag
Yeah.
and everything.
Oh, yeah. She's been killing it. There was a she posted something from TikTok, and it was somebody saying like, whenever some problems occur, people are looking to Matt Mercer for stuff. And she's like, no, you don't look at him. He can't save you. You're in my world now. Look at me.
Right, because she's DMing for him
Yeah.
on the Exandria game. Like, how cool is that to be like, no,
So awesome.
Nope.
you're in my world now.
Eyes on me. Eyes
Just
on
the
me.
kindest, sweetest, most evil woman.
Storytellers
Always a good
often are.
combination.
Yeah, God, she's so talented. So I'm beyond excited to be able to play with her as the DM because she's so creative and just so good. And having a DM that's as talented as her with people who are as strange as us, I guess. She's gonna have to herd
combo.
cats essentially. So I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Kind of like Greg coaching baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
And you guys get to visit the Witchlight Carnival.
I'm beyond excited. I don't know exactly what's in store for us, but our group is interesting because even though we are a group that goes on adventures regularly, there's a lot of infighting constantly.
Like a family.
I feel like she's gonna lean into that once she realizes it, and then we're done for.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, that makes sense given the wrestler background, right? You got to have at least some
Right?
friendly rivalries, frenemies.
Yeah. Friendly is a fun word to use for that. It's just
Now, are you playing with characters that you have already played with, or did you create new characters for this?
so we've created all new characters.
Oh, cool.
So this is exciting too because we normally just play with our characters from our rollout game. So even when we do one-offs, and so like I think last one-off we did was at a PAX, and we all ended up getting some like magical weapon that we could use for our next campaign that we did, which was kind of fun. But again, like I said, all the infighting is going to be. I assume that it's going to be even crazier because we're all going to be like on Zoom. And so, which only heightens frustration, as we all know throughout this COVID season.
Right.
So it should be a good time.
Nice. The Chaos Carnival. I can't wait.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the character that you created for this?
Ooh, my character is a turtle named Donnie, who has
Donnie.
a bow staff. He's chaotic good, and so I have this this ring on my finger with a little stopper, so it tells me if I need to be unfriendly, friendly, neutral, helpful, or hostile. And so lots of my games are kind of down to what the ring chooses.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Like a
Is
real
that just a
mood
NPC
ring.
reaction ring? Is that what it
Pretty
is?
much. But yeah, so I'm curious how this is going to work because I am used to either playing a bard in our normal games. I play bard because bards in any game ever, whether they're tabletops or video games, is normally my go-to because I just think the power of music is incredible, and to get people like boosted with music is great. And that's kind of what I do at work when I'm wrestling. Because if people don't know, so I'm on a 3-man team called the New Day. My partners are Kofi Kingston and Big E, and I always bring a trombone to the ring, and I play the trombone sometimes before, sometimes after, sometimes during matches. And so I use my bardic inspiration in real life to help my friends do better in battle. And so I usually bring that to the table. But Donnie is not a bard. He's a monk. So I'm nervous. I'm nervous to see how this works out, see if I can even understand these mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a blue headband that you tie around?
So I didn't reference the headband, or I haven't referenced it yet because I don't want to get too close to it. So I don't know if he's gonna rock a headband. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Copyright.
The bow staff is good enough for me. I know. That's awesome. Can't wait. Yeah, no, it is weird to go from like something that is in your wheelhouse, like a bard or a character class that you're familiar with, and just be like, all right, we're gonna do something completely different. And sometimes it works really, really well because you get out of that rut, like or your the things that you're used to doing as far as D&D play goes.
Yeah, but that's what I kind of enjoy. So like I said, so this will be my first time playing a monk, But just like going through and reading what they do, they sound really interesting. And then one of my friends who also plays D&D, he's got like a level like 17 monk, and he's like, you can do this, 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 and this, and this. And it's like, oh, well, that sounds really cool. And so I'm curious to actually use him in this game, because it might open my eyes to something that I didn't know that I enjoyed.
Right, which sounds like your MO.
Yeah, it's very freeing, I think, when you just branch out and just try something totally new.
Yeah, because what's the point of this life? It's to have fun and experience things, and so you can't just stay in one lane the whole time. You gotta explore, gotta diversify.
Yeah, and you're exploring new territory by joining the G4 hosting team. How exciting is that?
It's been a dream come true, legit. Because when I was younger, obviously, like I had my friend group that we played video games and played card games and all that stuff. But once G4 hit the market, we were like, hold on. There's other people like all across the planet that are like this, and they're adults? Wait, what? Hold the phone. And so that kind of gave us this different kind of energy about ourselves. And we were like, no. We're not rotting our brains. We're not melting away. We're not wasting our time. We are gaining skills that we can possibly make money with later in life. And we don't have to switch from pleasure to work. They can be the same thing. And to me, that's the best way to live life. If you can make money doing something that you genuinely enjoy, then then you never work a day in your life, the old cliche phrase, but it's very much true. And so that gave us legit inspiration to not like succumb to the weird dumb bullying that we would experience, because we like quote unquote like nerd stuff. Like I love nerd stuff. I'm a nerd. Like, what of it? Now I got muscles. So you want to say it again? You want to come at me with some negativity again? Step to me. So G4 was that for me and us, and I would assume a lot of other kids at that time that are now grown. So to be able to be in a position where I can get poked as a host and be able to do stuff like this, it's honestly it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Also, because I'm used to just getting punched in the face constantly. And
Are we talking literally or figuratively here?
I mean, wrestling, I get punched in the face literally quite a few times. And so it's cool to have a gig where that doesn't happen.
The other hosts don't just reach across and pummel you with a chair.
There's no mats on the floor. What's going on?
Because Greg and I do that all the time.
Constantly.
Is that after or before the baseball game? Was that depending on whose kid won?
Yes. We were friendly at first, but the next time.
Why are you little?
It's funny because my son's on his baseball team with a bunch of kids he went to daycare with from when he was 3 months old. And I think it was my son that got it started. But when I would walk in to pick him up, all the like the little babies were like doing this and then jumping on each other.
Yes.
On the mats.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, at least he's like giving you a heads up that it's about to happen.
Let him know.
Like
also, kids don't try this at home.
Right? Like cute little like blonde girls going up to each other like, Ingrid.
And those kids are using play to work through events that might happen to them later in life. Problem solving.
Learning skills. So, what were we talking about? Oh, yes, hosts pummeling each other.
So I might get punched in the face. I don't know.
You might.
We'll see.
But it's not a given, an absolute guarantee.
Yeah.
So my dad does not play Dungeons and Dragons, no surprise. But I was trying to give him the download on what D&D Live is and all of the amazing talent that's showing up to play D&D. And I told him about your group, and he was like, "What? Professional wrestlers play Dungeons and Dragons?" Like that really, like athletes in D&D. He just, he's 75. He has not put the two together yet. He's still in like the 80s D&D.
Just tell him we already play. That's our job.
That's
We're
what I was
dude.
trying to explain. Like that, it's those parallels are not really parallel. They're like crisscrossing all over the place.
Yeah. We make a character, we figure out an outfit, we see what kind of things we want to do, what we want to say on a microphone. When we engage with another character, we have to have that conversation. And we essentially roll charisma, and the crowd tells us if we hit a 20 or not. Like it's the same thing.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah, the stories, like I love, the backstories of wrestling. I love character backstories, but there's like all of those similarities as well, I think. It just
There's
feels
so much lore. So like, what edition are they in of D&D now? 5?
fifth, yeah.
Yeah, 5th. So like, there's 4 other editions. All of that lore packed in all this history, and you can pull from like wherever you want to pull from. Like, it's the same kind of thing in wrestling. So I personally like never crossed paths in the ring with like Macho Man Randy Savage, but to have a better understanding of myself and my character and what I want to do, it helps me to understand the history of where essentially I came from. So while I might not be the exact same, and I might never get to wrestle some of these other guys or girls that came before me, knowing about them, knowing their matches, knowing their history, the things that they've been a part of, helps me shape what I want to be and what I want to leave for the people who come after me. So then they're learning not only about me, but they're learning about them as well. And they can stand on my shoulders like I stood on the people's shoulders before me to make this even bigger and better than it was, 20 years ago.
That's awesome. The way you were just describing that too, I don't think I ever put that in my head, but of course, wrestlers would be like, "Oh man, remember that match from 1985 of so and so versus so and so? I don't even know. Greg Valentine versus Tito Santana."
Yes,
right. And then be like, "Oh yeah," and then like, "Oh, and he did that move," and blah blah blah. And of course, you would have that kind of familiarity with the history of it. That's really awesome.
Because what's old is new. So
Exactly.
the amount of things that I pull from the history of wrestling to put into what I'm doing now, obviously you pick them up, you polish them off, you might shape them a little different, but it's the same thing, and it's something that works and something that you can intertwine into modern day stuff and make it relevant. That's what's cool to me, because it's kind of a puzzle. Because you can't do the same exact things, but you can do something that kind of pulls on the same heartstrings and the same emotions. And whether you want to make somebody laugh, or you want to make them cry, or you want to make them sit on the edge of their seat and wait for what's coming next week, there's this whole... it's a smorgasbord. It's a nice charcuterie board.
There you go. Now I get it now.
People.
Yeah. Now we're on the same page. It's a nice charcuterie board of different cheeses, and these are all different wrestlers and different flavors of wrestling. And some might be high flying, some might be like deathmatch and barbed wire people, some might, be just like straight mat wrestlers and they never hit the ropes. Like, there's so many cool different kinds of aspects and characters in pro wrestling, and that's why I think it's the same thing as D&D, except having to go through the physical trauma.
Right. It sounds like rhyming, right? Like this, the way George Lucas described the Star Wars trilogies, right? That like they're not building off each other; they're rhyming with each other and making it like this long epic poem. And I feel like that's kind of what you're describing.
That I've never heard that. That's really cool.
Yeah, right. So that's why the musical themes are used throughout, and it feels like, oh, we're hitting the same kind of emotional notes, but a little bit different this time because it's a different context.
That's an awesome way to explain that. I'm putting that in my pocket if that's okay.
Do it. Nice. I didn't say it. It was George Lucas. So. He's the real genius here. We're just fools talking about it. Oh, sweet. So yeah, man, I love the fact that you can break all these parallels of all the different skill sets you're bringing to the table. I wanted to ask about the trombone, because I played the trombone when I was a kid, and I bounced off it, right? Like I was like, oh, this is really fun. But man, I love that idea of bringing a musical instrument to the ring, and something that I've always loved about, seeing your performances and stuff. And now I just want more people to bring trombones to the D&D table.
It'll happen one day. We're just gonna have a full band playing D&D.
Brass band. I love it.
Right? And in some ways, I guess at previous D&D lives, our friend Ben Looms from Sirenscape has done things live and created the music for everything. And there's a few cues in there, one of which is a sad trombone that he has used to great effect when a joke lands flat or something like that. So maybe the trombones are already in D&D.
See? There they are. And that's bringing it full circle. You just put everything that you love into a box.
All in one.
And then you live it.
It's true.
So you have a PhD as well?
No. So
No. Okay.
no. It's
Next question.
so well. I can give you the short. I can give you the short and sweet, because it's a rough one. So
Oh, no.
My whole thing is that I wanted to be the only wrestler to obtain a PhD while actively wrestling.
Oh.
So I was wrestling. I started wrestling like the day after I graduated high school. I went back to the daycare that I went to when I was little, and the lady who was my teacher ran the place. And so I asked her if I could get a job. She said yes. I used that money to pay for wrestling school and pay for gas to get me around to wrestling shows. I went to school in South Carolina, wrestled all throughout college. So I didn't join a fraternity. I wasn't on campus a ton because I was just gone wrestling. And then I ended up getting a deal wrestling with a company on TV like 6 months before I graduated. And they let me finish out school before I started for real. And so I did my master's program while I was there. And then I jumped to WWE and finished out the master's program. And I was gunning for the PhD, got to the prospectus, which is the last phase. And then you do your paper. And so at that point in time, the school that I was at, we found out, some of the students, hey, I've been at my prospectus phase for 2 years. How about you? And someone went, wait, what? You're supposed to be there for like a month max, maybe. And so we found a bunch of stories like that. And so there's a big like class action lawsuit, and we got swamped. And so I ended up transferring. And then the school said that in order to get the degree, I had to have the majority of my credits from that school. And I was like, but I took all these classes already and I got A's. Does that count for anything? They're like, you can test out a 2. But then you still have 3 years essentially to get back to where you were. And then it's like 3 months after that. And I was like, I can't do this again. I snapped, I broke. And it was like this deep, dark 6 months of me just crying in my room, just the lights out. Like,
I'm sorry.
my life goals. So, but no, it's okay. It's okay. Because wrestling kicked off. I started the YouTube channel up, started doing more stuff in gaming. And then I just put all of my my wishes and dreams on my children. So now I'm going to force them to get PhDs.
You were so close. Can we say that you are the wrestler who has gotten closest to getting a PhD?
As of right now, I think so. But
Okay.
But what's nice about this generation, that the last generation has been kind enough to teach us, because they gave us all of these lessons. They lived a very like fast life. Wrestling had kicked off and it was like the most popular thing on the planet. And it's like you're like a rock star essentially. And so we were able to sit down and talk to them, and they were kind enough to tell us about like the mistakes and what not to do and to save your money and X, Y, and Z. So hearing all of those stories has really made this generation really jump on, going to school and making sure you're educated, and whether you want to go for like, so I'm a psychology guy, so I go for psychology, and someone might want to be like a mechanic or an electrician, like learn a trade or something, so that we have something just in case. Because being a professional athlete, like it could end at any point. Like I could have a match and be done. Like I tore my Achilles in 2019, and there was a possibility that I'd never be able to wrestle again. And I was just happy that I had all this, my work in the gaming world as essentially like my backup if that were to happen. But at the same time, not talking about a backup, but when you're done wrestling, it's kind of scary. And I think this is with any profession. Once you're done doing that and you realize, oh, well, now I've got to do something else, but I haven't really been focusing on something else. So there's that kind of dead space where you're just unsure, and it's kind of terrifying. And that to me is like, to get like real deep, that's like my biggest fear, right? And so that's kind of why I've been burning the candle at both ends for like the past 6 years, to make sure I've got a deep, like I want to be knee deep, if not waist deep, in the gaming world, so that as soon as I go, hey, I'm done wrestling, I go right there, and I'm good to go. There's no break in work. I know what I'm doing. I've been lucky enough to find multiple passions where I know some people can't find one. So like I feel extremely lucky in that sense. But yeah, that it's because the previous generation, they taught us. I think if in anything that you do, if you don't adhere to the history that came before you, you're going to make all the same mistakes.
Yeah.
And this generation has already started to show that we don't want to make those same mistakes. So hats off to the ones that came before us for letting us know about this stuff, because otherwise we'd be in the same boat.
Yeah. And I love that you're learning this from the previous generation, and that it's something that you're taking to heart. Because like you always hear those horror stories about athletes, that made a lot of money at the time of their career, but either it was mismanaged, or like you're saying, they got injured early and their career ended abruptly, and then it's really traumatizing to just everything that you have worked for your entire life really is over at 27, and then what do you do? I don't know if we ever really talked about this much, Greg, but one of the Seattle Seahawks CJ Procise, a super nice guy when he was playing for the Seahawks. He loves video games and gaming in general, and also had the same mentality of, this is not going to be forever. I'm lucky to be here now, but I don't know how long I'm going to be here. So he wanted to get experience working in the gaming industry. And he actually did an internship with us at Wizards of the Coast on the D&D team. And he helped us make this card game, Dungeon Mayhem. And he was only there, for a couple of months, but he showed up every day at 9 a.m. on the dot. He went to his desk. He went through the playtest feedback. We had several meetings a day, and he was very, very thoughtful with how he did his job and wanting to learn from everybody there. And it was a great experience for him, thankfully, but it was great for us to be able to work with him and show him how things work on that end of things. And it was super fun to play D&D with him as well. He had never played D&D before. Hopefully we've converted him. But it was just, it's a really smart way to look at your career. Like Greg and I have theater backgrounds. I was a theater major, and I really wish that part of that degree was accounting. How about just throwing in how to answer a phone or how to carry multiple plates in one arm, because you're probably going to be waiting tables for a while.
Know how to do that, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. I never actually knew. Even as a waitress, I never could do that. But
I just dropped them on
how
the
to
ground
balance, how to finance,
yeah.
Yes, it's wonderful that you have this creative streak and hopefully you're successful. But you still have to know how to manage your finances. You still have to know what credit card debt means and how to pay your taxes and things like that.
Yeah. Sorry, there's someone's mowing a lawn. Let me close this.
Okay, no worries. It's so funny though, because in many ways, when people ask me about how to get a job at Wizards of the Coast or something like that, they always ask well, how do you do it, right? Well, what was your career path? And I was like, I don't know. I did the same thing that you're talking about, Austin, where I just was like, I'm just going to do all these things and pursue them, and maybe just through the talent or the work that I put into it, that an opportunity will arise and I'll be able to jump into it. And that's what happened for me to here work for Dungeons and Dragons now. I had several different careers. In some ways, this is my fallback. Is to be able to do this, even though this is an amazing job and I love every minute of it. It is. I needed to get through certain phases of my life in order to be in the right position to get this gig now, right? And so it's not just athletes. I think it's everybody out there, and everybody's D&D character should also have that open mind, right? Be like, you never know if you're going to multi-class into Warlock when a great deity comes in and offers you power. You're going to want to take that.
At some point, you're just going to get tired and you want to plant some roots and you don't want to just keep going on adventures after adventure after adventure. I just want to stay here in Eberron.
You can be the wise sage that just sits at home, and then this new character that you've made, lo and behold, they meet this other character, and now you get to sit down and hear the knowledge, and now look at all these skill points you just got from listening to a story. Is that cheating? Who knows? But you should try it.
Make the rules. I like it. I had a character that retired to teach magic. She's great. Still in the city of Sharn.
Still teaching magic.
Still teaching, yeah.
I love that you were a daycare worker too. My wife does that as well, and we have strong connections to one here in West Seattle. That's such an amazing skill, and I wish people, not just people, but the world, society, realizes how specialized of a skill that is.
Oh yeah, it's a mess. It is a hot mess. And I loved every second of it, because whether you have a terrible day or a great day, when you get home, you have a hilarious story, at least one every single day. Especially when you go on field trips and we go to the skating rink and stuff. I absolutely loved it, because people, I don't know, I had this mentality that adults, they see the world through a certain lens because of their experiences. Obviously, the three of us, we've had very different lives, different paths to get to talking to each other today, right here.
Right.
But it's cool because now we get to, share this with each other, and we get to have this conversation, and it's fun and it's happy and it's exciting. But we all see the world differently. But these kids, they all see the world, not all of them, but they have a better chance of all seeing the world in a more similar state because they haven't had all these experiences. So it's a more true filter, I feel. And so with that said, there's so many adults I feel that don't listen to kids because they're children. Oh,
Mhm.
you're 6, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, but there's a nugget in there, something that you could use as an adult. And if you can latch onto that nugget and you can relate with that child on that level, now you're bringing them up to your level while they're making you see the world in a more pure manner. Weird way to say that, but I don't know. I don't know. Children are refreshing in that sense. There's not all the angst and the spite and the chips on their shoulder. They're out to have fun. And it's like, man, why do we lose that?
Right.
We lose it. Have you seen the movie Inside Out?
Yeah.
Yes.
So with what's the imagination thing? What, I can't remember his name. Bing Bong.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I love that one.
So if, spoiler alert, there's a scene where the little girl, inside her mind, her imagination pushes like one of her emotions up to the surface so that they can get out and like really help her. But it's a metaphor of going from childhood into like adolescence. And some people have to lose their imaginations in order to grow and get through like these hard times of being a young teen. And it's like, man, what if we didn't have to lose our imaginations? And I feel like some of us didn't. And those are the ones of us who play D&D,
Right.
I guess.
Say, you keep playing D&D and you don't have to.
Yeah. But like, I love that, because if we could still keep that childlike energy of just enjoying creating worlds in our minds and just having fun talking about it, like, we wouldn't need all this, or quote unquote need all the stuff that we want as adults.
Yeah.
We wouldn't need like this car and this house and this like fancy necklace. No, like, give me some dice, paper, and a pencil, and I'm good, dude. Like, that's so dope to me.
A ball, right? Like, just getting a kid, like, just go play. Like, I feel like I've spoke to so many adults, like the ones you're talking about, who are kind of like set in their ways, just be like, this is my life and my experience, and I'm not open to new things, right? And I never really understand those people, because like that childlike wonder of wanting to go and do things and experience and just play is, I think, vital to our culture. And I'm so glad that, like, as you were mentioning, over the last 20 years, like gaming in general, like video gaming, board gaming, and Dungeons and Dragons have all kind of allowed people of all ages to not lose that anymore, right? You can finally exercise that imagination from when you're 6 to when you're 69.
It's freaking awesome, man. That's why I love this stuff, because it's just, and this is going to be like it's like the essence of life to me, honestly. Because think about like COVID season. It sucked being stuck inside and not being able to see your friends and family, and you're missing birthdays and you're missing like big events and things like that. And I feel like a lot of it has made us realize how important people really are. And I do think that the silver lining of all of this mess in the past year and a half, 2 years, is that we get to actually experience what it's like to kind of go back a little bit, to take a few steps back. Like, I'm much closer with my neighbors now than I was before. We knew each other, but now we're buddies, and like our kids play, and like we have a blast. And it's like having that village mentality of like, these are my people, these are my friends, this is who I take care of, this is who I have fun with. And what do I need in life? I just need myself in them. Right. That's what I need. I don't need all these material things. It's cool to have them. It's great fun to have them. But what's important is these relationships. And again, to bring it back to D&D, that's all D&D is. It's interpersonal relationships between the characters that are playing, the DM who's seeing how these interpersonal relationships are connecting, and the DM trying to destroy them.
But in a fun way.
Yes, in a fun way.
Yes. It's got to be challenged. You have to stay challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your background is in psychology.
Yes,
which I think I love the psychology of Dungeons and Dragons, really. Like, because we talk to a lot of therapists and, who talk about how they use D&D in their practice, because, role-playing has been part of therapy for decades before D&D, but actually using Dungeons and Dragons to help with their clients, with children and adults alike. And we talk to a lot of people who say that, playing D&D has helped them realize parts about themselves or have worked through past traumas and things like that. So that is something that has just always been very fascinating to me, that it's so much more than a game. and but I'm curious if your background in psychology has ever kind of influenced how you play a character or the types of games that you like or games that you run or
I don't know. I guess it would have to influence because I feel like
just organically.
At my core, like that's what I am. I want to understand things. I want to understand like how my brain works. I want to understand how other people's brain works. And in playing D&D, you get to be somebody else and you get to create that person. So you get to create how their mind works. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool to me because I love being me. I wouldn't want to be anybody else. But in D&D, if I get the chance to be, I get to be someone completely different. I get to be a turtle? What? And I'm at the Chaos Carnival? What? Like, what does that even mean? And it means whatever I want it to mean, and I get to create. But at the same time, I really enjoy the idea of a character like being consistent and making sense. And it's like, yeah, it's fine, be all over the place if you want to be. But for me, I kind of like, okay, well, my character has these, like they're good at these things. They're not good at these things. Okay, so what am I going to do? I can't just rush in and do what I'd normally do if I was me. So like I have to figure out a different way to approach this problem. I have to find a different way to solve it. And again, it's puzzles. I enjoy those mental games.
Yeah. Are you ever a dungeon master or do you stick to playing mostly?
I've never been a dungeon master. It's really interesting to me, but I know this is super weird. It's super daunting.
No,
to me,
that's not weird at all.
It seems kind of scary.
Agree.
But I have one of my best friends. Like we were actually having this conversation last week, and he was like, "You could just do a one-off if you want to just try it." And I was like, but I'd have to write this story, and then I have to, keep all this stuff in order. He's like, "No, it's really not as crazy as you think. You can go as surface level or as deep as you want." And so as he's explaining it to me, it's opened me up a little bit. And so I gotta get over my insecurities.
I'm with you. I can totally relate to that. And you can DM in the Greg Tito manner where he's like, no prep. I don't know who these NPCs are. I don't know what the story is. I'm just going to show up at your house with some dice and see what happens. And it works out. And it's great.
No stress, right? You're just like, we're going to improvise and come up with a story together. Yeah, you might have a few thoughts in your head, like when you're, in the shower that day, and be like, oh, maybe I'll throw a beholder at them and it'll say something funny like this. But like, that's it. And then you go in and, they don't even go down the room where the beholder was. It doesn't matter. You can just make up something else and throw a different storyline their way, right? And I sometimes think that can get over that hurdle of fear, right? Because if you don't plan it all out, then there's nothing. It doesn't matter if it doesn't go your way or it doesn't go the way that you expected. You can just improvise and have, your skill of performing kind of just let you coast through the storytelling.
I like what you're saying here.
Listen, I've been trying to get Shelly to Dungeon Master again for like 3 years now. So it's a journey that you have to take on your own.
I'll go down the road eventually.
Yeah, or not, and it's okay if you don't.
That's true.
Well, I appreciate that. I want to push myself.
Oh, that's true. Look, talking about what we opened this interview with, it seems like you're going down that road.
Yeah, it's and it's not pushing into new boundaries is for me. It's one of like the scariest things.
Oh yeah.
But like at the end of the day, again, back to that like what if thing. Yeah. It's like, well. What's the worst that can happen? You're not good at it? Okay. If you want to be good at it, then you just work at it. But if you don't want to work at it and you're not good at it, all right, I'll just play. I won't be DM.
So one of the things that I am enticed about with the dungeon, the one thing I think that could get me to try it again is co-DMing. And Greg has offered to be my co-dungeon master so that if you do get stuck on something, then you can kind of turn to your co-dungeon master and say, "What happens?" Yeah,
I'm 100% down for that.
Yeah, because there's elements I would like I want to do some voices. I want to be an NPC and kind of make up story stuff, and I just don't really want to worry about rules.
Yeah, and there's probably someone who wants to worry about rules,
right? Or it's like that's just like top of their head. Like I don't feel like Greg needs to like flip through a bunch of books to figure out something. He just does it.
You got it.
Well, that's the secret too. Is like if you don't remember it, you just say it. It's like, oh, that's the rule. And maybe I've got 4 different editions of D&D in my head, and I don't know if this is the right rule, but that's what we're doing for right now.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It's the
matter.
house rules.
Yeah, like I always feel like, oh, the players are going to get mad at me. I don't think I've ever gotten mad at a dungeon master, like for that reason. Like, first of all, I probably wouldn't notice if they got a rule wrong, but I also don't think I would be mad at that.
No.
So I'm just grateful that somebody's taking the time to be the dungeon master.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get you in maybe next D&D Live next year. We'll
But
get
you're talking to Xavier, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
No, the both of
wow,
you. Both
wow.
of you. You're going to co-DM.
We'll be each
co-DM
other's
together.
co-DM. It'll just be like voices. Ah, I don't know. Just
Hey, we
pick
played
up
for
some
4
dice.
hours. We didn't fight anything. What happened?
Nobody rolled a single die. It was so
Yeah.
weird.
And actually, none of the players said anything. Austin and Shelley just talked to each other the whole time. These weird voices.
Best game ever. Well, why were we so scared of this? It was so
Yeah.
easy.
This was great. You guys coming back next week? No.
The player's like,
Yeah, we're actually busy.
We're going to be at Greg's house.
not at all. They would be entertained. That's the whole point, right? You know,
I was thinking that because I do think about dungeon mastering a lot, probably more than I should. But I was thinking if in my world I could create a world where like magic happened and like all the rules, there are no rules. Everything's just totally messed up so that when I don't know what to really do, it's just part of the story. So that you might just
Wild
be like, why would
magic.
I make a constitution save? Because you're trying to climb a fence. And that's what we do here.
It turns into Calvin Ball, the D&D game.
I don't know. It's crazy. See if you can figure out why.
Get on the other side and the game will get real fun. Come on.
That's it. That's it.
Yes, I love it.
Well, it's been really fun being able to talk to you, Austin. We got to hang out just a little bit at a TwitchCon a few years ago with Brian Terwilliger back in the day, and I'm excited we got to hang out again. And Brian has been so instrumental in making this G4 and D&D partnership come alive. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, Brian is the man. I would not be where I am in my life today without Brian Terwilliger.
Wow.
And I'll say it
Wow.
again, just in case anybody missed it. I would not be where I am in my life today if it were not for Brian Terwilliger.
Nice. Dropping it. I love it.
Yeah.
What was
Absolutely.
so instrumental in what he did?
I don't even know the word for it. He's like a father, a brother, a mentor, an agent, he's everything. He's awesome. When Brian entered my life, everything changed. Because I was trying to learn how to do all these things, and I had the channel and stuff. And when I met him, he came on to help me with the channel. He's like, yeah, I used to work at G4. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like, what do I do? And so he essentially just taught me. And so without him and his lessons, I'd have done okay, and they would have been fine, probably lukewarm. Me trying to figure it out on my own with the help of some friends. But Brian really, I guess Brian helped mature me. So very immature in a lot of ways, in the way that I would handle things and do things. I just didn't know, And so he helped me grow up a lot. And without that, I'd still be that same guy who was fine. But I feel like I'm definitely a better version of myself because of Brian.
That's super cool. Yeah, and he was the producer behind the UpUpDownDown show and Rollout and all that, right?
Yeah, he's the man.
So cool. Yeah, and now he's back at G4 and making D&D Live happen.
Just crushing it. Just crushing it.
Full circle.
Very excited. I can't wait to see him this weekend. D&D Live is July 16th and 17th. That's just a few days from now. I think maybe even tomorrow if we release this on the schedule that we're thinking about. Very exciting. Starts at 12 p.m. Pacific time. We are going to look forward to seeing you play in the Chaos Carnival with Abria Iyengar as Dungeon Master and all the fun folks from Rollout. Can't wait.
It's going to be the best time ever. And remember, those friends are Ember Moon, WWE Superstar Ember Moon. We've got Brennan Williams, who is Mace in WWE. And then we have a man formerly known as Tyler Breeze. We're trying to figure out what his name is.
We'll call him Bob.
There we go. We've been calling him Matt on the couch.
Okay. Sounds like a sitcom name.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
A barbarian in some ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fun.
Cool.
Awesome.
It was wonderful to chat with you. Thank you so much.
It was very awesome talking to you guys, and thank you for having me on. And
Anytime.
for everybody listening, if you enjoyed the sound of my voice, but you just can't stand me, that's okay. Either one, just follow me on the socials at Austin Creed Wins. Check me out on the YouTubes. It's UpUpDownDown, and catch me Monday nights on Monday Night Raw on USA Network starting at 8 o'clock. And actually, because this will come out before, this Sunday is Money in the Bank. So if you go check it out on Peacock, you can see my man Kofi Kingston fighting for the WWE World Championship against Bobby Lashley. And he's going to beat him, and he's going to be the new champ.
Oh, right.
I love that we just dropped in a wrestling promo voice there. That was awesome.
Got you.
Yep.
Got you.
Another skill.
I was about to tee you up for it too, and you're like, I'm just going to take it. I know this drill.
Yep.
Been here once or twice.
Professional. See, and that's all you need as a dungeon master is just being able to drop into that persona of like, let's just all the programming that you're gonna get. Here it is.
Yep. It's a walking ad, pretty much.
You got to.
So fun, awesome. Thanks, Austin, and I'm looking forward to watching D&D live and all of your awesome antics on Up Up Down Down with Rollout. Good stuff. Thanks, man.
Thank you. I hope you still like me after you see it.
Guaranteed. Hold on, let's roll
Totally
the die. Yep, they're gonna like you. You rolled high on the persuasion.
Yes.
See how easy it is to be a dungeon master?
Yeah, there we go.
I didn't even roll a die. That's the funny thing. I just made it.
Just
It's all behind the screen.
dice sound effects.
Yeah.